Morning, it's morning huddle time. Chad Prinky here, as always, along with my good friend, producer, co-host extraordinaire, Stacey.
Stop. Hey, how do you want us to install this water heater? And then my coworker was like, I don't know, install the water heater. Like, why are you even asking me? He's like, well, I don't know if you know, but what you designed, it can't physically fit through the front door of this building.
My class is only 40 minutes. So we have to get this done in 40 minutes. You have to clean up in 40 minutes. And then it also, when you use the miter saw, a lot of kids are scared of the miter saw, and you just see the difference in their confidence when they come in here compared to when they leave. They're excited.
Be announcing a new county that's going to join us in Maryland, so we continue to spread it. And I'll say my peers across the country are starting to take this and adopt this at their local IEC chapters.
Either AI assistant tools, you have AI master builder tools, and then you have kind of a bit of both that are 1 foot in BIM, in current processes, and 1 foot in AI.
Said, Brett, in life, opportunity meets you at your level of preparation.
She said, here's the keys, go forth and do great things.
Good morning. It is morning huddle time. Chad Prinky here alongside my good friend, Tom Hughes, who again is not Stacey. Tom, how are you today?
I'm very much not Stacey, and I'm very much just kind of, hanging on after a long weekend down in Myrtle Beach.
Got it. I know the feeling. I get it. Were you able to abstain at least on Sunday? St. Patrick's Day is a son of a gun, isn't it? It just really can really take it out of you. Did you carry it all the way through Sunday, or did you?
We came home yesterday. We drove home yesterday.
Oof.
So
Oof.
It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event marathon.
That's one day too many. It's just one day too many. It's like I can do 2 days of bad decisions, but the third is it's a no-go for me.
You just got to go in understanding that it's a marathon and not a sprint, and make sensible decisions on when to go to bed.
That is key, isn't it? Yeah, that is. Everybody's like, let's go out. You're like, yeah. I will see you in the morning.
Yeah, we have an 8:00 tea time.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Well, welcome. So we're very glad to have you as always. I wondered coming in what you had done for St. Patty's Day. That's a nice time. That sounds like a lot of at least like a lot of good fun.
It was a good time, and of course I missed my family. I'm always with my family on St. Patrick's Day, but this time I was with my extended family, my brothers from Yardley Country Club there.
Nice.
So it was a good time.
Very, very good. Well, cool. I kept it nice and tight, man. I was at home. I was doing chores. I was all that stuff. I'm going away for spring break this coming week, and I just had to keep it low key, pack the bags, get everything ready because I'm leaving on Thursday. I'm leaving not tomorrow, but the next day. And when I start this week, I'm probably going to cram like 50 hours of work into three business days.
You have to.
It's going to be insane. It has
Where you
been.
going? Where you going?
Puerto Rico.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'll be doing the Huddle live from Puerto Rico next week. That'll be fun.
Is it going to be in Espanol?
No, it definitely will not be in Espanol. I mean, I can give it a rip. I'll give it a try. I'll try anything once, but
yeah. I'll help you out a little bit.
I appreciate it. So let's bring on our guest. We got today. We're going to be talking project management, and I love the topic. I spent a lot of time working with our clients in the one of the most important positions, if not the most important position for the success of the business is project management. Having that completely dialed in, whether you're a trade contractor or a general contractor, doesn't really matter. This is that person who is responsible for the financial performance of the project. And if it's not set up right, and if it's not managed right through the course of the project, you're just hoping that the field can pull it together, right? You're just hoping that the subcontractors have it together. You're hoping that the foreman and the superintendent can make it happen. So with that, Jeremy Harrison is joining us. He is a PMP certified project manager, senior PM for LeabCorp Services, based in South Carolina, though today working from Augusta, Georgia, if I have that right.
Yes, sir. How are you guys?
Doing good. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Good to have you.
Yeah, we were talking when we were talking about this episode last week, kind of brainstorming up what the conversation would look like. I think fundamentally we need to understand what a project management professional program looks like, and what that's all about. So maybe just, I don't know, the 30-second overview of what is a PMP program and what is this PMP after your name.
So PMP is a certification that is put out through PMI. Really,
PMI is what?
Project Management Institute. It's internationally recognized, and people hear that and they go, well, I don't plan on moving. I'm staying right here. What does internationally mean to me? Well, in today's market, you stay right where you're at, and you're going to deal with people internationally, whether it's vendors or stakeholders or, subs, you can go, I think I mentioned this before. It adds some merit behind your name. You can go get an MBA and spend $100K and a few years of your life, or you can spend 5 to 10 and study for 3 to 6 months and get your PMP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
Jeremy,
cool.
you gave us a pretty interesting stat on that PMP certification and kind of what that does for your earnings. Yep. in our pre-show last week.
The average person with a PMP certification makes roughly 30% more than a PM without PMP certification.
That's awesome.
In the US.
That sounds like a reasonable return on investment.
Oh, for sure.
Right. For sure. I mean, you spend $5,000 to $10,000, you spend 3 to 6 months of your life, and you increase your earning potential by 30%.
Right. And a lot of the questions that are on the PMP exam, it's not an easy exam by any means. It's timed, it's proctored. I can tell you, I did mine online, and I slumped over in my seat like this. It's like 5 hours long. I had slumped over in my seat for a while. And the proctor come on and said, you have to stay in center of the frame, because like this much of my face had got out of the frame. Like,
wow,
dude, my back hurts. I'm old. I'm not tech savvy enough to cheat on this if I wanted to.
Wow, you got like spies like us. Your face is going off the cameras. You're pulling the cheat sheet out of your mouth.
Right. That's old school right there.
A lot of the questions are geared toward more like IT project managers more than like construction project managers. But the fundamentals are the same, and the fundamentals are what matters in project management, right?
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about some of those fundamentals, because I really do. I think in a lot of cases there are project managers who, you know what, I'll pose my theory. I have a theory about project managers, not just PMs. I see this in other roles in the construction industry, but project management probably where I see it the most, particularly with general contracting and construction management companies. And that is, I describe it like this: where you see certain folks who end up job hopping every 2 years, and I think not always, but I think there's a large percentage of that community that what's really going on is they don't actually know what they're doing. They're project managers because they were assistant project managers, and then a project needed them to become a PM, so they just got promoted to PM, but they didn't actually do anything to become more qualified to become that project manager. So all of a sudden they were a project manager and they're on that job now. And the reason it's every 2 years is that's about how long it takes for everybody to realize that the project is going to be a complete mess financially. Right. And the project manager rolls out and goes and gets another job and does it to another company, and they just keep on doing it over again. And I don't think they're bad people. I really don't. I don't think these are bad people who are trying to be unethical. I don't even think they know that they don't know what the hell they're doing. But I see so many people who don't know what they're doing. And when you try to actually poke and prod, you realize that they're missing a lot of the fundamentals. So let's talk about the fundamentals for a minute. Just when it comes to project management, what are some of the things that you would consider to be that, like, the price of entry, price of admission to being a PM?
In line with what you just said, Josh Luker made a post probably about a week ago that kind of resonates with what you just said. And the trend these days on LinkedIn is everybody's talking about EQ and soft skills. And do we need those? Are they great? Absolutely. We do. But you take a PM that has, great EQ, they're a nice person. They communicate well. People like them, but they don't have hard skills. Well, the BS is only going to carry you so far.
Yeah.
And at some point, and I think you might be on it there, that 2-year mark, then everybody starts realizing this guy's great at talking. Love him as a person. He just sucks as a PM. So.
Well, and I see, and those are the ones that get promoted to senior PM because they can manage clients.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but there's something really funny about the lack of hard skills and the over prioritization of soft skills when it comes to education. Why are we not teaching hard skills? What's happening that we're not teaching hard skills? And my gut says, Jeremy, I'm interested in your take, but my gut says that people are taking it for granted. Like, well, of course you're a PM, so you must know X and Y. And nobody is freaking testing people. Nobody's actually being tested to see if they have these things under control. It's like, well, that would be rude. He's already a PM. I don't want to test him on these things. You're about to hire somebody. You better test them on these things. You got to know if they're good at it. So back to that list. Number one question. Might as well circle back and get it. Why do you think we're not training on hard skills?
I think you're spot on. I think people just assume that we know, assume that, and each company does it different. I mean, I think, there's a million different softwares out there now. Really, it doesn't matter what software you use, long as you're tracking things. I mean, it starts at the very build out of the project. Okay, we've estimated, and I won't go into estimating too much because currently I work with an estimating team. I don't have to do that part of it, thank God, anymore. But after estimating, you go into buyout, and in buyout, you've got to break the project down enough to know that the guy that's bidding is bidding everything properly. He's not missing things. Things are not overlapping. And then from there, you build out your budget. You build out your schedule. Cost loaded schedule is the best in my book. That needs to be accurate. Even if you don't have all your sub numbers,
and
you know what something's worth.
I hate to interrupt you, but I want to talk about cost loaded schedule for a minute. Can you just describe to the audience what a cost loaded schedule is?
Okay, so you've got X number of activities, and each one of those activities is assigned a cost. I'm gonna do rough grading, and rough grading is $50,000 of this project. Each line is assigned a cost. The danger of that not being right is that's also how you bill. That's how you invoice. So from a GC perspective, if you've got $3 million was the number you pulled out of your rear end for the HVAC on this project, and the sub numbers come in and it's actually a $7 million HVAC project, well, guess what? You're getting screwed come billing time. You know, or on the flip side, you put in, you know, $800,000 to do the epoxy floor, and then all of a sudden the client midstream decides they don't want the epoxy floor, they just want to do sealed concrete. Then they're looking at you for an $800,000 deduct, and your sub number may have came in at 350. Then, you know, then you're having to argue with, hey, look, I made this number up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that cost loaded schedule is it's important.
Yes, sir. All right, good. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess with your flow, but I think so many times people hear these buzzwords, they're like, yeah, sure. Yeah, cost loaded schedule. They don't know what a cost loaded schedule is. Keep going.
Right. The other, I mean, to keep on that, I mean, you didn't jump me into cost loaded scheduling now. The other thing with the schedule is you got to update it regularly. Things change. You've got to track that schedule. And I find the easiest way to do that is to take that schedule, move it into an Excel form, use that form as a earned value report, so that as you go through the month, you just update percentages, and it shows what you're completing each month financially. And then you take that, and once a month you do a schedule update, and you know where how much float you're losing or how much float you're gaining. Are you gaining ground on project completion, or are you losing ground on project completion?
Yeah. You're going through the project's key performance indicators and keeping score, because if you're not keeping score, how do you know if you're winning or not, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I also like the practice of keeping a separate, like, 30-day look ahead, and move it as you go. Involve your field team, involve your subcontractors as you work that 30-day look ahead, so that you're realistic. I mean, you can't be an effective, and I'm speaking for construction, but I guess this kind of goes with anything. I mean, you can't be a great construction project manager unless you understand construction. But none of us know everything. And if we pretend that we do, then we're doing it at detriment of ourselves and to detriment of our company. So you involve the people that know. You bring in your HVAC sub, you bring in your electrical sub, and you say, okay, this is kind of how I was looking at this going. Tell me, am I right? Tell me where you would tweak it. Tell me what you think. Can you make any of this up? Am I completely off? Is it going to take twice as long? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those things are crazy important, because and the reason I like to keep that 30-day look ahead and work it every week is problems go awry. Always. No project goes the way your baseline schedule is built, ever. I mean, I don't care if it's a $50,000 slam dunk project, something's going to come up. And when things go terribly south is when you don't recognize there's a problem until it's too late. So the quicker you can find the problem, and the closer you're tracking both the schedule and the budget, then you know you have more time to act, and you've got to act quickly, and maybe pivot, maybe just adjust something, but the quicker you act, the better. The longer it sits without anybody noticing, the bigger the problem gets.
Yeah, right. You can't build a schedule in a vacuum. You're doing the project a disservice. You need to have the right people in the room, and those 30-day look aheads or 4 to 6 week look aheads give you enough time to, if you've got to get something expedited, for the most part, you can probably make things happen in 4 to 6 weeks. Might cost you a little bit, but you can jump out ahead of things. Whereas if you got 1 or 2 weeks to kind of figure something out, it's going to be a whole hell of a lot harder. A lot of good chatter in the chat. I just can't respond to it. But I'm having technical difficulties again over here, buddy. Sorry. But talking about, the schedule as a projection of the cash flow, Mark Drury always has great comments.
He does, yeah.
In the chat. But two things that he said that I thought were really great was that, the skill set of project scheduling is just something that's missing. And also, just to be honest and tell everybody that you're front end loading your loaded cash flow loaded schedule to help your own cash flow.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I can tell you, there are certain circumstances that front end loading doesn't necessarily pay off, but yeah, for the most part, you want to get a little heavier on the front side so you have more working capital and to make those pivots that we talked about when the problems come up. I did work on a federal project one time to address that to Mark when he said always front end load, but I worked on a federal project one time that the way it was set up, as soon as the money came to me, whether the sub invoiced or not, that money went out to that sub. So for me to overbill, if I build something at 17%, that sub got 17%, whether he was really there or not. And,
right.
And this was early, and I'm telling mistakes that I've made. So don't nobody hold it too terribly against me, because it's been a long time ago, and I do learn from them, hopefully. So I front end loaded this thing. I build it heavy. Money goes out to the sub at the same percent level that it's coming to me, and then the sub went under, and I'm stuck finishing his scope of work with like a third of what it would cost to really do it.
Yeah, because you've paid him on money he hasn't earned. You've paid him on work he hasn't earned, and all of a sudden you've got a third left, and he's got 65% left.
Right.
And he's got 65% of the project left to build, and you got a third of the money.
Yeah, Mark's also.
Then you've got a problem.
People say we don't do schedules because they always change. And, yeah, I mean they do always change. That's more reason to do them.
Right.
Yeah. It's not really about. Well, it is about following the schedule. You got to have a plan, but it's about seeing the problems. You got to see them quick. If you don't see them quick, then you're screwed. And if you don't have a plan on the front end, then Lord have mercy, I can't imagine how long those projects will last.
And the other thing is, if you don't have the people in there who are going to do the work, you're not going to see all the problems.
Right.
Through their experience, they'll come to you with, hey, the way this logic is set up right here, you've got a problem here. So let's rework this a little bit. And, sometimes it helps improve the schedule. Sometimes you got to push it out a little bit, but you got to come up with then a recovery plan on how you're going to, rein it back in. But at least you have time to do it, and you're not scrambling, when the time comes to start executing some of these things, and it's like, well, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, I think the other, besides just scheduling, the other thing that I see that doesn't get enough attention is the PM budget, and what I see a lot is the estimating team builds sets up the budget from bid day, and they take all their estimates and they set it up, and they plug in X amount for your general conditions, all your Division I stuff, and I've seen projects that were 6-9 months, a year in, and none of there's been no alteration to the Division I. Like, they're still showing the same thing that was stuck in there on bid day. Well, you got to track Division I just as tight as you track all your subcontractors. Heck, that's where you lose most of your monies in
Absolutely.
GC.
That's where I see it. Totally agree with you.
So,
it's you haven't even farmed out any of that risk, right? If you're a general contractor or CM, the subcontractors, at least they have contracts, right, that they say owe you X for Y dollars. I mean, you still got to manage it and all that kind of stuff. But for your general conditions, you're on your own, man. That's you.
Yep.
You got to manage that.
Right. And some of that, comes from, I've seen it where it's the PM's fault, where he's not really going in and tracking. He's not really looking. But I've also seen it on the flip side where the company's accounting department has access to this and this particular software, but they're not giving the PM access, so he really doesn't have a clue. So, you know, but you got to make some kind of educated move and track that stuff, even if you don't have access to the accounting system.
Right. You got to understand what, what your burn rate is. What do you got left? How much, what are you really going to spend?
Right. Right. And, I started out kind of discrediting EQ and soft skills, but, it is a real thing. If you don't have EQ, you don't have great soft skills, you absolutely can still finish a project and do a great job at it. Like Josh's post said something like, you'll still finish the project great. You just won't be invited out for golf with the rest of the team at the end of it. But but ideally you have great EQ, you work on your soft skills and you have great hard skills.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys that have great EQ just really lack in the hard skill thing, and whether maybe they don't see it, maybe maybe it's carried them a few years and they're like, I'm doing just fine. The good news is that you can learn hard skills. That stuff is very teachable. The flip side is the EQ part is not so teachable. A lot of that is either you got it or you don't.
Yeah.
I think as someone who spends, our team does both. I don't mess with the hard skill stuff, but our team does, and we do teach both hard skills and soft skills. The one, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh shucks, I don't have the soft skills dialed in, maybe I can't. One comment that I make is that if you truly have a desire to develop the soft skills, the key thing is that it requires that you get way outside your comfort zone, and that's why it's so hard to teach and change soft skills, is because unlike hard skills where it's just knowledge and application, right? And do you have the intellectual capacity to do it?
Right. Hey, to your point, the other to that, I mean, a great project manager in hard skills is typically very OCD. Like it's hard for them to work outside of the lines. And like you said, I mean, you to develop EQ, to develop soft skills, you got to get out of those lines. You got to get out of your comfort zone. And it is very hard for an OCD,
for a black and white person. I'll just put it that way, right? For a black and white person to see and understand that there is gray and that you got to navigate the gray. Like you do have to do that, because there are lots of times where the black and white says, come down on this guy and beat him up for not doing what he was supposed to do. But the gray says, you're going to need him tomorrow, dude.
Right. Right. Exactly correct. You've got to maintain relationships with people for a long time. This isn't, if you want to be successful and you want to keep doing this, you can't just churn through contractors and, chew them up and spit them out. You've got to, you need those contractors. It's a skilled trade, just as much as you need your clients. They're an extension of you.
That's why there's probably 500 emails in my drafts folder that never got sent out over the last few years. This guy's ticked me off, hammering it out.
Jeremy, I recommend you go in and delete those just in case you accidentally send one. I know that, but typing up the email can sometimes be cathartic. That can be I'd rather you write it on paper and then burn the paper. That's even better. We do not need a written record of the kind of asshole we can be when we're all upset. So that's never email mad, right? That's the rule. So I want to pause for a quick moment and thank a couple of sponsors, and then I have some questions I want to follow up on quickly. First, I want to thank Lawrence Law. Lawrence Law is a boutique law firm that focuses on small to mid-sized contractors in the Mid-Atlantic region. They're both in Baltimore and DC and in New York City. great people. They know what they're doing. You should reach out to them if you have any legal needs. Second is Marsh McLennan Agency, full service insurance company, bonding, surety, all that jazz. They're a fantastic group of people that really truly know construction. And I was just having a meeting with a fellow last week from that group, and we were passing along. I was passing along to him the 3 or 4 positive things I heard from his clients just in the past couple of months. Great group. If you're looking for insurance or bonding, and you don't have a trusted advisor in that space, please consider Marsh McLennan Agency. All right. So I want to ask for let's picture what kind of gains we think are really out there. This was something we talked about last week and got me all fired up. What would it mean to the average contractor if their project managers were all at a higher level of, they had the right skills, the hard skills and the soft skills to drive projects to completion and, deliver at the level that you should be able to if you're PMP certified, as an example?
Well, I read something else this week on LinkedIn. As you can tell, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Follow lots of people.
I can tell. Yeah. And I love your post, by the way. I always dig you got good meme game.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna rabbit trail for a second, man. You post something on LinkedIn and you like pour your heart into it, something like you're like passionate about. It's really good. You get 6 likes and 7 impressions. Right. I post a stinking meme of 2 tape measures on Sunday that are wrong and say, this is why I have trust issues. I have like 5,000 impressions and over 100 likes.
Yeah, Americans are sad. What's going on, man?
Priority.
So the short answer to your question, and I brought up LinkedIn because Megan Shapiro posted something to this effect, and I did back check what she said. You go Google the percentage of construction projects that go over budget, and you will find answers ranging from 80% to 98%. Hey, it don't matter which one of those numbers are right. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So the big answer is you hit budget, or at least get closer to it. That's what it means for contractors, for the general contractor is more profit. And if, we can say we love the business, and I love the industry. My stepfather was a general contractor. He's the reason I'm here, the reason I love the construction industry. But the reason we're in it is to make money. We're in it to make a living. So yeah, big reason for PMs that understand processes and following those processes. The biggest reason is profitability.
Yeah, sure would be a lot more. I mean, it's a fun industry no matter what, right? But it sure is a lot more fun when we're making money.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. And if your margins are going up on the regular, I promise no one's going to complain when you take the whole team out for dinner and drinks after work. But you start taking the team out for dinner and drinks after work when you're tanking the budget, you're going to get some phone calls.
Doesn't work like that. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. We're trying to do some team building. Yeah. And money to build the team. So I want to go back to software I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom. What were you going to say, man?
No, you're on it.
Cool. I want to go back to software for a minute. And I think one observation that I have about project managers and software is it seems like it's kind of like, imagine teaching somebody math by handing them a calculator. They don't really learn how math works through a calculator. They don't actually develop their own skills with a calculator. And so if the only way I know math is via this, and by the way, not just a calculator, but this brand of calculator.
Right.
When the company switches software platforms, or I switch companies, and I've got to go from Procore to Timberline or whatever, right? I got to switch gears on what I'm using for a project management system. I see a massive gaps in knowledge, actual hard knowledge, present themselves there, because we're not teaching people project management, we're teaching them the software. And they actually don't have the background and understanding of the the logic and the reason that goes into all of this stuff. That's a personal view. I don't know what your take is on that. And then overall, from a software standpoint, how important is software? What are the right, the do's and don'ts and things like that as it relates to project management with software?
Yeah, I think, and just reading through some of the questions, I think the probably the number one scheduling software would be P6,
Sure.
Primavera.
Yeah.
Hands down, you can run a Microsoft project schedule for your smaller projects, but P6 would be the great hoo ha ha of scheduling for anything of any substance. And I think you're right as far as training. And I talked with someone else a week or two ago on another show about the software. I think we buy, these salespeople, they come in, they show the software to a company and they're like, this will do this and this and this. And it's going to make your company so much better. But if half your workforce don't understand it and your guys in the field don't use it, then it's just a paperweight. I mean, it's not worth anything. We've got to invest in training that software. Or we need to fork out the money to have somebody that knows more about it than the purchasing agent in your corporation to dive in and say that we need this for this company. This is what would work best for our people and the kind of work we do. I think Procore has I'm a big Procore fan. I mean, that's the most user-friendly one that I've used. But they have training online. I mean, you can get certified in every level, for free through Procore. But I agree. I think we've got to train the software more, but if you don't understand the core processes of the project, your budget, your schedule of values, your buyouts, your scopes of work, your scheduling. If you don't understand all that stuff, then that software is you're just doing data entry at that point.
Yep. That's how I feel about it too. I mean, I think, I see, and I think to a certain extent, when you hire a project engineer, you need to make them productive right away. First thing they need to understand is how to do some of the basic functions inside Procore or whatever they're using, right? And I can see the logic behind that, but if we're not taking the time to teach, and we can't take for granted that people are coming out of college with the skills that they need to actually be a project manager. You gotta be prepared as a company to train that stuff. Period. Right.
Yeah.
I learned to play beer pong and drink cheap Natty Light when I was in college.
We all took that course, I think.
This is I have an awkward confession to make. I played beer pong for the first time when I was 38 years old. And I went to college. So it occurs to me that I either went during the worst time to be in college or I was not popular. I thought maybe one of those, like I'm thinking other people knew how to play is what I'm saying.
Hey, self-awareness, that's half the battle, right?
Jeremy, do you get into much like pool planning with scheduling with the trades?
I do. I think I mean, I'm not doing it on the project I'm on now, so I sound hypocritical talking about it. But so if anybody that's working with me currently going, he's not doing pool. That the last two projects that I did before this one, yes, I love it. I mean, it makes a great visual. Your average, we do a superintendent meeting every week. Your superintendent comes in and you put up on a screen the P6 schedule. Man, they don't understand start to start, finish to finish. They don't understand this is a milestone. This is just an activity. They don't even know what they're looking at. So when you're showing P6 on a screen in a sub meeting full of foremen and superintendents, you're really just wasting your breath. And but on this project, I'm just using a basic spreadsheet showing a 30-day look ahead. But on the last few projects I did, yes, we put up big boards and used the sticky notes, and you put the sticky notes where your P6 schedule says it's going to finish, and usually pull it back a few days. And then we start the meeting and let each trade go through, and you sign it, you date it, and you say, okay, yeah, I can finish it by this date, or no, there's no way I can. And you move your sticky note to where you think you can, but they sign it when it's there, because then next month, if that date is passed and I'm going, you didn't hit your date, dude. And this wasn't my date. This was your date.
Yeah.
I love pool planning. And like I said, I think it's a great visual for the field crew.
Accountability. And then that's another thing you can keep score of, right? What, who's promising to be complete at a certain time, and how often are they hitting those?
And when you're doing your P6 update, you're looking at that board and going, yeah, I need to add 2 days to this, or I can pull this back 2 days, and you've got input from every trade.
Right.
I like that you're continuing to pull it back, that even if we're doing pool planning, we're going to update our CPM schedule. What we're not going to do is start living off of our look aheads. We're gonna actually stick with the P6 and update it consistently, which I think is right. This has been a great conversation. I'm wondering if there's anything else we haven't talked about that either of you guys want to get on the table before we wrap.
I think we hit pretty much everything in the chat that people were discussing.
Agreed.
I don't have anything else to. I mean, we could sit and talk about this for days and days, but we're running out of time.
We are, and I want to make sure that we don't have to end, abruptly later. So I think we'll capitalize on this opportunity to thank you, Jeremy, for being on. Jeremy, what we should be following you on LinkedIn, clearly, for the memes, and from time to time a poorly received, heartfelt post.
Hey, like a few of those just to make me feel better.
That would be. Yeah, I'll swing by and give them some hearts and some uplifting hands, or whatever those are called, right? So the supporting hand. Thank you so much for being with us today. And you know what? I have one final question. I know that you would recommend getting your PMP purely from certainly there's just a math reason to do it, right? That like it helps to make you more marketable, and it helps in your career to increase your earning potential. Did it make you a better PM?
I think it did. And it kind of goes along with everything we've just talked about. It's a great way. The studying that you're going to have to do to learn to pass the PM will give you a good understanding of the core of the processes of how to manage a project successfully. Excellent. Good. So there's actually also a return on investment in terms of being more efficient and effective at your job. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I appreciate you guys letting me come on. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. Man. All right. See you soon. Tom, thank you. Right, put another one in the books, buddy. That was good. Great.
It always is.
Yeah, it is.
What do we got coming up next?
I'll tell you what we have coming up very next is I got to thank Katz Abosch, which is a fantastic accounting firm that services the small and mid-sized business community with a real focus on contractors. If you are, again, same kind of story. If you don't have an accountant that is a real strategic partner for your business and a trusted advisor for your business, a call to Katz Abosch would make a lot of sense. And then lastly, Sandy Spring Bank. Sandy Spring Bank is my bank. Good people. They definitely specialize with a lot of contractors in the small to mid-size category in the Mid-Atlantic region. I would encourage folks to reach out to Sandy Spring Bank as they will look at your business like it is theirs and think about how they can help through, support your financial needs. All right. So Tom, next week, first off, we know I'm going to be in Puerto Rico, so there'll be an island vibe overall to the episode. I anticipate bringing island vibes. And I've got a good friend of mine, somebody that you never meet people. Tom, you're one of these people for me. I mean that seriously. You ever meet people that sometimes you're just like, yeah, I got to stay close to that person because they're bringing so much, knowledge that I had no idea of, and they're coming from a different universe in some ways. Neil Ratcliffe, he was the deputy director of HUD under Ben Carson. And he is an attorney who he's now in private practice, and he's spent time working in government roles and in private practice roles. And he's going to be joining. He's definitely the smartest person we'll have ever had on the show. He'll be, by like a lot. And, and
that's a pretty high bar.
It's a high bar. Trust me. When you hear this dude, you're going to be like, well, that's clearly the case. And what he's going to be talking about is public-private partnerships, viewing construction through the lens of being a government agency and what they really care about, and how the private community can be a better partner for public agencies, and probably also some insights into what public agencies can be doing to be better partners for the private community. So it'll be a great conversation, and one that, the reason I'm pulling him on is because this education for me has been so valuable. I wanted to make sure it gets passed along to our audience. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That sounds great. And I would say likewise, Chad, where you are somebody who's, entered my orbit. And I've also been like, yeah, this guy, I got to stay close to this guy. Absolutely.
Well, appreciate that, buddy. That's nice of you. Remind everybody to go to the Morning Huddle constructionshow.com. Make sure that you're signed up for all the stuff. Make sure that you're subscribed to this on wherever you digest you consume your podcast. We're steadily adding podcast subscribers, Apple and Spotify, and all the list. So wherever you're getting your podcast, make sure that you're subscribing to this, not just catching this episode, and subscribe to the newsletter so that you can keep up with what's coming down the line and participate in the community that we've built here. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Tom, for joining us again. I love co-hosting with you, and hope to see you again real soon. Are you with me next week, or is it Stacy?
No, I think Stacy's with you next week, but if you need me, I can always pinch hit.
Hey man, it's fun when you're here, and maybe we'll all three do one and bring somebody on. That could be fun too.
Sounds good.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, pal.
Thank you.
See you.